Hello and welcome to another episode of our hero series where we're just looking at the heroes of the game, what their main gameplay loops are, and what new players might enjoy about them if they like playing that hero and they're entering the game, and reasons to play that hero. So Katsu is our ninja hero, our adult and young ninja hero, so can be played in constructed, not just blitz. He is the gameplay starts off very similar to Ira. If you watch the Ira video, in terms of he is focused around playing these harmonized Kodachis. Every turn, pretty much, you're going to pitch a blue. You're going to try and attack once or twice with the Kodachi. Most of that is due to this legendary, the Mask of Momentum, which says that when the third or when attack action card hits, if it's the third or higher chain link in a row to hit, you draw a card. So if you hit with your Kodachi and then say something like a Pounding Gale, you will draw a card, which lets you then play another attack. The Katsu's core ability says when an attack action you control hits, you may discard a card with cost 0. If you do, search your deck for a card with combo. You may banish it and play it this turn, basically. So Katsu's core gameplay loop is basically pitch a blue, stab you twice with this sword, and then play an attack action that has a way to get go again, or starts a combo chain and lets you attack. Where do we have an example of a card that starts a combo chain? Right, let's just bring up a combo chain here so you guys understand what we're talking about. So we have Whelming Gust Wave, we have Mugenshun Release. This is the main combo one because it's Katsu's big combo. So he starts up a combo with a card called Surging Strike. Now, the combo starters are Surging Strike, Leg Tap, Head Jab, Soul Bead Strike, and Torrent of Tempo. All of those cards have one thing in common. They don't have combo written on them themselves, so you can't fetch them with Katsu's ability. What they do have is Go Again built into pretty much all of them, or optional Go Again built into some of them. What that means is that if one of these attacks hits, you can trigger Katsu's ability and fetch the second part of the combo chain. So Surging Strike becomes Whelming Gust Wave. Whelming Gust Wave then gets a bonus if Surging Strike was the last attack you played, whether it hit or not. It gets +1, it gets Go Again itself, and if it hits, draw a card. Then, if the Surging Strike hit, if the Whelming Gust Wave was played, then you can play Mugenshun Release, which of course gets a bonus and Go Again as well, if Whelming Gust Wave was the last card played. If it hits, you get to search your deck for any number of cards named Lord of Wind, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Lord of Wind lets you, this is the great art we saw from the main page, pay extra for the cost, and then shuffle in any of the cards from the previous parts of the combo chain from your graveyard into your deck and get +X equal to that. So if you fetch 2 blues, if you fetch 3 of these with Mugenshun, you can then pitch 6, shuffle 6 cards in, and get an 8 strength attack. The shuffling is actually kind of more important than the strength of the attack, to be honest, because it puts the reds back in your deck, which can be very important if you're playing CC and the game is going quite late. This is Katsu's main combo line. It doesn't really go off, but basically the really consistent part of the deck is hitting a Surging Strike and then fetching a Whelming Gust Wave. And anytime you can do that, you're going to have that combo loop. So why should you play Katsu? Rather than talking about necessarily the best deck and things like that, though Katsu has been quite strong in the meta. The fact is that Katsu brings consistency to the table. So if you like the idea of playing an Asian-themed hero who, gets a good gameplay flow, attacks a lot every turn with Go Again, and has this consistency in terms of if your opponent doesn't block properly, you're going to get the next part of the combo and you're going to attack with it. You're always going to be searching your deck for the same sort of combo lines, whether it's Hurricane Technique, Rising Knee Thrust, Leg Tap, so you're kicking them, or you're doing the Surging Strike, Whelming Gust Wave, Mugenshun, Lord of Wind, and then some people might add in some Pounding Gales, Open the Centers, Head Jabs. All of these combo lines work together, and you can choose which one you want to focus on and which one's going to get you the best benefit for the meta that's in there. So really, you can build your game plan around getting these combo pieces together, arsenling the right combo piece, and then building up to the state where you're doing these really powerful big turn attacks. And that feels really rewarding to play, and he does have that really consistent element because if any attack hits, you can go and get a combo piece. So even if you don't have a threat in your hand, you could, for example, just discard a card and then get a Pounding Gale and come in for 5, which is really, really impactful on the game state, right? So he has that benefit to him. Katsu is either played in a more aggressive style that just focuses on pushing as much damage through making those attacks hit as he can, or he can be played in a more controlling style, which has seen some success in the past as well, where you're blocking a lot to try and set up those big turns late game and try to get the right card in arsenal and then choosing when you're going to push in some damage. And both of those strategies work quite well. Katsu is very flexible, which gives you a lot of those options. But really, I think the main reason that people are going to be drawn to Katsu is that flow gameplay style where every attack feels like, and we talked about this in the Dorinthia video a bit, every attack with Katsu feels like a threat because if you don't block it, you have no idea what he's going to fetch from his deck, right? So for example, if I play a Surging Strike, you have no way of knowing whether or not I have Whelming Gust Wave already in my deck. So let's remind you of this. So play Surging Strike. You have no idea of knowing if I have Whelming Gust Wave in my hand already. If I do, and you fully block the Surging Strike, so 2 cards or a card and a piece of armor, then I'm coming in for 4, and if it hits, I draw a card, right? So choosing whether or not to block this is a big deal. But you don't know if I don't have Whelming Gust Wave. And if I do, and it hits, you don't know whether I'm going to go and fetch this or not. Right, so it's kind of like there's a bit of a mix. So if I come in with a Kodachi for 1, then I play a Surging Strike for 2. I have no resources floating, but I've got 3 cards in hand. It could literally be anything, and your opponent has to decide what to block based on the card in front of them and try and figure out what your play is going to be. And you may just have the answer in your hand or a way to make the answer go through, a way to hit, a buff or something like that that's going to push through damage and give you a really consistent turn. And one of the things you'll see when you're playing against a good Katsu player and playing into a good Katsu player is a lot of good players playing into Katsu will block well, and that will slow Katsu down a lot, but it doesn't slow him down completely because he has a lot of flexibility to always be attacking and blocking, even if his main attacks are being shut down. So a lot of people like Katsu for that reason. If we take a look, so beyond the main combo line into what we consider to be a competitive Katsu deck, we'll see there's a lot of tricks in there. I think it's worth talking about Crane Dance and Find Center. I think it's worth talking about Torrent of Tempo and Snatch. Let's probably talk about Leg Tap, Rising Knee Thrust, and Hurricane Technique as well, I think, while we're here. So where do we start? So Ancestral Empowerment is a fantastic buff. It just gives you +1, it draws you a card. It also costs 0, so you can discard it to Katsu. And it blocks for 3. So this card is amazing. A lot of the time, your opponents will block, and sometimes they will block your 5s with 6s. But a lot of times, especially against players who are under pressure, or if it's getting late down on the health and they can't block with lots of cards, you will start to get those blocks, especially if they don't have a lot of armor left, where they will block a card specifically with the amount to block it, so 4. And then you'll just get a free +1 damage, you'll hit, you'll draw a card, and likelihood is the card you draw is going to be the card that you can discard then to Katsu and then go wider again. Then we have Crane Dance and Find Center. Crane Dance is interesting because basically it is its own combo chain from Crucible. It starts with a card called Soul Bead Strike, which a lot of people don't play because it has conditional combo rather than conditional go again rather than actual go again. So you can come in with a Soul Bead Strike. It comes in for 4. If they don't block it, it gets go again. A lot of people will just block it and try and end your turn. And then you have to either have one of these Razor Reflexes, or you have to have your Snapdragon Scalers, which will give your attack go again. And then if you have those, and you have a Crane Dance, then you can get Crane Dance off. If Crane Dance hits, you can go and search for a Find Center. Find Center gives you a Zen token, which lasts for 2 turns, and stops 1 damage from every source that you would take damage from. The art is also amazing. This is on a playmat somewhere, by the way. It's gorgeous. But I mean, the point really with Crane Dance is that it's there to deal with a lot of decks that try and deal you a lot of damage. The point is, I want to illustrate this to say that, like, not every single Katsu combo line is like smooth sailing, is my point. But some of these are very rewarding for the challenge that they present to you. So getting a Zen State token is very, very rewarding. Torrent of Tempo also doesn't have unconditional go again, but it's very rewarding because it comes in for 5. Snatch can draw you some cards. Leg Tap, Rising Knee Thrust does have unconditional go again. Leg Tap comes in for 5 with go again, and then Hurricane Technique goes back into your hand when it hits, so you can play it twice. So there's just some really fun sort of combo lines. So if you like the idea of free-flowing combat where you're doing multiple things a turn and you're presenting different packages to your opponent based on what you've drawn, but also what you've arsenaled, and your opponent isn't really ever sure of what the threat is going to be because there's always another attack that could potentially come. Then I think Katsu is a fairly good choice for you. I personally have really loved Katsu just as a very flexible hero. I will say that once, a lot of your meta gets very good at blocking, you may have more trouble with Katsu. But there are times when he can just present so many different types of varied threats that he's still resilient, even if people block him well. The reason to play Katsu, you like ninjas, you like going again, you like doing a lot of attacks, you liked Ira in Blitz, that's kind of important, you liked Ira in Blitz, and you want to play a ninja in CC, is a lot of the reasons people started playing Katsu as well. There's a lot of good reasons to play Katsu, and he's a fantastic hero. Not just based on how awesome his art is or how ripped his chest is. Anyway, thanks for listening. Obviously, if you're still making your way through this series and you haven't decided what deck you want to play yet, then please do look at the intro video and all of the other videos in this series. I really hope at the end of this, please let me know if this has helped you find a hero and this has really helped break you into Flesh and Blood, because obviously I want to get new people into the game, and I really see this as a way that I can help people get into the game. And obviously, if you like this video, please do give me a like and a subscribe. I do also have a Ko-fi page, which is where I ask people for their monetary support, just to help, help me fund things to make this channel better. I've been paying a graphics artist, and I've been trying to get a better camera and things like that. I do also give deck lists, one-to-one advice, that kind of thing for my Ko-fi supporters. So, you will find a link to that below. Thanks for listening and have a great evening.